different. Every man do his thing a little way different. The things I do it in a different way from you.
Here we are again, another episode of London Something Podcast with definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, one of my longest friends in Jungle. I don't think we met before Jungle, did we, Ken? Anyway,
I
Kent, right?
I knew Ron because remember we just lived around the corner from each other.
That's right. Yeah.
I was in the big
using
tower
the
block,
tower blocks. Yeah.
and you was on the corner,
exactly,
just up a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was on Richmond Road.
Yeah. So but I never really got to know Ron until DJing.
Yeah.
DJing,
I thought so.
You know
Because as I remember it, I remember seeing your name. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
On flyers and things like that.
Yeah.
But it was more sort of like it was like very early days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what do you call those? Like Labyrinth and things like that.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks for coming today, Ken. I really appreciate that. You know what I mean?
I wanted to do this anyway. You know
yeah,
what
and
I
I
mean?
really wanted you to be here as well. You know, because the thing that we're trying to do with everybody is, or for everyone actually, the viewers and the audience is kind of like letting them see like their sort of like fans or people that they follow or aspire to, and obviously they know their history, so to speak, in terms of like their DJ careers or what they've done and what tunes they've made out. But a lot of them don't really know the background of that.
Yeah, well,
do you get what I mean?
You're gonna learn today.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? And so I wanted to kind of like, what I like to do is go back before we go forward, you know?
Okay.
And like you're like me, you know what I mean? You're like one of the old guard, you know what I mean? You know, like the founding fathers, you know what I mean? Like in terms of Jungle and whatever. But then what about Kenny Ken before Jungle came about? Do you know what I mean? Before Jungle came about, before I knew you, growing up on Holly Street Estate, do you know what I mean? Was Holly Street Estate the first estate you lived on? Take me right back to as far as you can remember.
I'm going to take you back to, I remember moving to Holly Street. I used to live in 15 Burgold Crescent in Stamford Hill.
Okay.
Which is just off the back of Amherst Park. And then you go down Durley Road and then you had Burgold Crescent. That's where I used to live. Before that I was living in Infort Road, which is also in Stamford Hill. First school I went to was St Thomas Avenue, which is on Dunsmuir Road in Stamford Hill. And then I remember moving to Holly Street in 1971.
Right, okay, so that was well early.
Yeah, when there was 4 tower blocks there.
That's right.
The two Grange and Lomas was built already, but Rowan and Cedar, they were still building.
You're joking?
Yeah.
Right. Imagine that. I remember going there, and when I moved there, Holly Street was already the notorious Holly Street that everybody knew.
But behind, like where I used to live, you had the Masonettes.
That's right, yeah.
Right, which is the proper real ghetto Holly Street.
That's right, yeah.
There, they were still building that up as well.
Oh, you joking?
Yeah, they were still building bits of that, like Oak Court, round the back of Middleton Road, and all that wasn't built yet. You know what I mean? So they were still building. The reason why I remember that so clearly is because it was a time when we changed from shillings and pence to decimal. Right? That's how I remember that year.
Yeah.
Specific, because I'm rubbish with remembering years. You know what I mean? But I remember that because that was the year we changed. And then I moved around there. I was a good little boy. You know what I mean? Doing well at school and everything, but as soon as I moved to Holly Street, it just changed. It was like they had I think I was about 10, 11 years old, and they had a gang around there called the Silver Birch Gang, right? And when I was younger, I wouldn't say I was a little tough nut, but I wasn't scared of nobody either, you know what I mean? And one day I bumped into one of them, the Silver Birch Gang, and we both were sizing each other up. Then he said to me, the first time I've ever heard the word screwing at, who you screwing at? That was the first time I ever heard that, right? And he said to me, who you screwing at? So I said, you know what I mean? And we both looked at each other, wary of each other. He walked off, I walked off. And I told my little brother's 5 years younger than me, so he couldn't really help me, you know what I mean? And then one day I was looking out my kitchen window, and I said to Dave, come here. That's because we used to go, when my mum used to go work, we used to go play centre for school holidays, you know what I mean? And I remember I had a fight with a guy called Michael Parkin, he was a taller boy to me. You know what I mean? I said to Davison, ain't that boy we beat up at the play centre? And Davison said, yeah. So I went down there and I explained, talking to him and trying to get him on, trying to build up my own gang. But it's like everyone was scared of the Silver Birch gang. So cut a long story short, I ended up joining their gang, right? And their gang was naughty. And that's when I started to get in trouble with police and everything, and you know what I mean? Bunking off school and all that, you know what I mean?
It's mad, isn't it? It's like, you know, for all their best intentions, I suppose, when they were building Holly Street, you know what I mean? You know, like, as I said, when I turned up there, when I turned up on Richmond Road, so well, I know that you know the geography of where Richmond Road is to Holly Street, but for those who don't know, if you could just consider it that it's like a T-junction, do you know what I mean? And I lived like on the corner of the T-junction. You do a left and the Holly Street was on that side of the road. So I was in a way in a safe zone.
Safe spot.
Do you know what I mean? You know, and I suppose in life, I suppose with hindsight, I still do the same thing. I kind of dip my toe in and out of like any grief. Do you get what I mean? And then if it gets, you know,
to be honest with you, when I was growing up, I mean, you know, you used to have fights with the local other people and all that, but you know, it wasn't really. I wasn't really a fighter, you know what I mean? I was more of a man who just wanted to go and make money, you know what I mean? Because being with them guys from Silver Birch Court, they was about money. They wasn't really about fighting and all that. They was just about going out and earning peas, you know what I mean? So, you know, I wasn't really a fighter, but I seen certain things happen around the flats and everything, and then my name would get called, and I think people thought that I was more tougher than what I really was. You know what I mean? So anytime there was any of that going on, yeah, we have to go and get Kenny Delso. Yeah, you got to go and knock on his door, get Kenny down here, man. Yeah, and all that. You know what I mean? But I wasn't that guy.
It's crazy. It's like, I just can't picture that. I don't think anybody could picture that, because out of everybody on the circuit, you are like the most nicest guy.
Yeah.
So to think that you would ever be in anything like that just sounds like a million miles
like,
from
I'll tell you, I used to go
reality.
A couple of years later now, from the Silver Birch gang, we started hanging about with these guys from Haggiston and Hoxton, right? And we used to go football a lot. And I was the worst football hooligan, Ron. I was the worst, mate. I'm telling you, when we used to go away matches, I'd be in there with everyone fighting and, you know, doing whatever. And then one time we went to, I think it was Everton. We went to Everton football
Supporting
ground.
Who?
Tottenham.
You Tottenham
Tottenham
supporter,
supporter.
yeah.
We
Okay, we can leave now anyway. That was a great interview, yeah. Thanks for Go on, I'll let you off, Ken.
We went to Everton. But I've got to get this in though. When we used to go Highbury, we used to kick them up all the time, right?
Yeah,
anyway,
that's what they all say. That's what they all say.
Right?
Do you know what I mean? That's what they all say.
We used to be in that North Bank regular. But anyway,
yeah.
we went to Everton.
Yeah. Anyway,
We went to Everton one day. We went to Everton one day and
shout to the herd, yeah? The herd. You heard that, yeah? Come on.
It come on top at Everton, and cut a long story short, a few of us ran on this bus, right? I remember running on a bus, and we all ran upstairs, and the bus was kind of surrounded by Everton fans fighting with Tottenham fans, but Tottenham was coming unstuck then, you know what I mean? And we was on this bus, and to be honest, I wasn't shitting myself a bit, you know what I mean? And then anyway, they got on the bus, Ron, and the only thing was to do was to jump out the back window with the emergency thing, or just start fighting with them. So we started to rip, you know the things what you hold on to on the bus? We started to rip them off, because them old buses, that was easy to rip off. We started to boot them off. As they was coming upstairs, we was whacking them. But I was frightened though, Ron. You know what I mean? Then someone got stabbed.
Are you joking?
Right? Yeah, someone got stabbed. And then from there, I stopped going football, because I thought, the way I am, you know, I'm going to end up getting hurt bad. You know what I mean? And I don't want to die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I kind of slowed down on the football team.
How old were you then?
I was about 15, 16,
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Right, lunatic, you know what I mean? Like, you know, people used to think I was madder than what I was, but it wasn't that. It's because I knew I had a gang behind me.
Yeah.
You know, when I went in, they went in with me. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's interesting. I say interesting for want of another word, but you know, how there you are, you come from like Stamford Hill, good kid, you come somewhere else, another area,
Change me, just
and
change
then
me.
and then by virtue of like, you know, like a group and the herd mentality or pack mentality or whatever, now you're drawn in, and then not only are you drawn in, you're now kind of revealing parts of you that you probably never even seen before. That sort of like you never seen that violence in you before.
No.
Do you get what I mean? So,
No.
I mean, it's sad. I mean that's, you look at that as human nature.
It's
Just
just-
generally,
I
I think
think
people just do that anyway. Do you get what I mean? It's like you eventually assimilate your environment. Do you get what I mean?
As I get older, you get to realise what it's all about, what life's all about, and what them kind of things are about. And it was like Holly Street was like was just where they just dumped everybody in there. You know, it didn't matter who you was, they just dumped everybody into Holly Street. And a lot of bad people came out of Holly Street.
Yeah. Holly Street was I mean, and for those of you who don't know, there's like, I mean, there's different people going to be watching this from different parts of the world as well. If you're in America, Holly Street would be like a project.
Yeah.
Yeah, you call it a
Be like
project.
the projects, yeah.
And and I don't know what they're called in other countries and whatever, but certainly in this country it's like an estate.
Yeah.
And notoriously, when you're brought up on an estate, for whatever reason, do you get what I mean? I don't know why, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but for whatever reason, that estate mentality, although there's this sort of like camaraderie, you know what I mean, and everybody's in it together, somehow it still led to badness.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And Holly Street in Hackney was one of those places, as was Pembury, as was you know, Kingsmead and things like that.
To South London, like Peckham, all around there.
There
was
you
the
go.
same
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
same
Every
thing.
estate you go to, they've knocked the other one down in Elephant and Castle now. I forgot what it was called, but
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That
but
big estate.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for those of you around the world who might be, you know, like you hear it on the telly or you see it on the news or whatever, you know, this is like real life. You know, like, you know, I was only on an estate a couple of times when I was much younger, you know what I mean? And but yeah, Kenny's like, you know, living proof
But
of
you
like
said
that
you
sort
hit a
of thing.
point earlier. You said that you know, you never saw that in me, but going through all that made me tougher, and in that environment you had to be tough. Otherwise, you just get stepped on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine that, and then maybe that's where it all comes from. Maybe it comes from that.
And then years later, oh, I'm just gonna jump a few years for a minute, right?
Yeah, go for it.
I went into the there was me and two other guys, one DJ and one MC, right? I don't think they'd mind me mentioning their names, right? Frost and MC Det, right? We went to I think it was Sweden or somewhere. It was a country abroad. I think it was Sweden. Yeah, it was Sweden, right? We went to Sweden, and we got there. And the promoter, we couldn't find the promoter. No way. We was at the actual. We got to the hotel. We come to the club now, and we couldn't find the promoter. And I said to them, like, well, that's a bit strange. I'm not going to play if I don't see the promoter. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if I'm going to get paid or not. You know what I mean? So anyway, cut a long story short, the ravers was begging us to play. So we was like, we can't let them down, you know, and we come all this way, we can't let them down. So we went and played, all right? When we went and played, after we finished our set, we was hanging around waiting for the promoter, and there was all I remember, there was these big stairs, and someone said to me, the promoter's up there in these stairs, right? But the security was at the bottom of the stairs and wouldn't let no one up there, you know what I mean? So I looked at Nigel and Det, and I said, listen, you know what now? We're gonna go and rush them security, and one of us must get up them stairs. You know what I mean, right? And Nigel was in straight away. And Det said, yeah, come on then, let's go and do this, you know what I mean? I just rushed the security. We was fighting with the security, and they were proper fighting run, right? And then...
What year was this?
This was
Mid-90 vibes?
No, this was about 2000.
Oh, really? Right, okay. So
99, 2000.
In the 2000s, right, okay, yeah.
And so we was fighting security. I asked Nigel, he'll tell you. And we was proper going in, and then all of a sudden, because the security never expected that ferocity. You know what I mean? Someone shouted out, one of the security, call the police. As soon as they said call the police, Nigel, it was like flicked a switch. We just turned us off. We was like robots. It just stopped.
Oh,
I ain't
really?
getting arrested in no
Yeah,
foreign
yeah,
land,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cut a long story short, we come back home. The guy who sent us over there, it was, I forget his name now. He was a German guy living in the UK, I can't remember his name. But anyway.
Not Uli.
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 Uli, you know.
But the reason why I brought that story up
Jeez,
is going back to the Holly Street days now.
Yeah.
That mentality was still in me.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Once
it comes
it's
out.
installed,
Yeah, yeah.
once it's instilled in you,
It just comes like you said.
it
Like the
just
switch.
takes something to just set it off again.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. I could relate to that.
You know, that's why I brought that story up. But to cut a long story short, in the end of the day, Uli had to get my money and bring it round my yard for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was fuming when I came back.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah,
Upset
I can imagine.
bad, you know what I mean? But we all got paid in the end, though. You know what I mean?
So we're at 15. Let's go back a little bit.
go
Yeah.
back,
So we're at Holly Street Estate. We know that the challenges that come with, you know what I mean, and what have you, and you're like you're not even in your teens yet, are you? Or
Well,
are you already in your teenage years?
I was the first person to get a custodial sentence.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that, because I know that you've done a bit of time.
Yeah,
and
I was the
whatever.
first person to get a custodial sentence at Highbury Corner Magistrates Court.
Ever?
Ever.
So they built it and you were the first person?
First person, yeah.
They need to put your name up in a plaque up there, rude boy.
Right? But before that, though, I was getting myself in all kinds of different...
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you an example. Like, one day, we was walking past the news agents in Holly Street, and what happened, I think I was supposed to get some licks off my dad, and I was frightened to go home.
Yeah.
So I ended up staying out all night with some of the man them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For those who don't know, licks off your dad means getting beat.
Getting
You'd be
a beating.
surprised, Kenny. People might not know what that means.
Right.
You'd be so surprised.
I was due a beating off my dad,
yeah.
right? For something that I must have done in school.
Sorry, I just want to cut you. Only because I was doing this thing recently, you know, that documentary that I did, and Eastman was talking to the assistant producer, and he said, yeah, because what it was, man, they used to lick wood, and everything, and this, and she was like, they used to lick the wood. Right? And he said, "No, not lick the wood." But, so I'm just saying, when you're saying licks at home, it means getting a smack or a belt or whatever.
Yeah,
He was due a beating. Yeah.
So I was frightened to go home. I can't remember what it was for. Anyway, I ended up staying out, and this is the first time I ever got arrested properly, right? The first time I got arrested properly was when I used to go up to our school, right? And there was a load of us in the school. And we used to go Woolworths and teething out all the pens, just stupidness, you know what I mean? All the nice fancy pens and all that. And we go to school and we got all the latest pens, latest this, latest that, you know, just stuff that you could get out of Woolworths. You know, and Woolworths on Mayor Street by the bridge. It's not there now, right?
Yeah, I know the one you mean. It was on the left-hand side.
Yes,
it's where
I
think it's Iceland there now.
So we used to rinse that out quite a lot, right? And one day, where you going at dinner time, man? Yeah, we're going Woolworths. No, I'm not going. It's getting too hot now.
That's what you said. Yeah.
You guys need to calm down, Dred. It's getting too hot. I never used to talk like that back then, you know what I mean? But that's what I was saying to them, right? And they was like, nah, man, we're gonna go and we're gonna go and do it. So anyway, they went and got caught.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sitting in my class now, and all of a sudden I hear, will the following students or people please come to Mr. Clark's office? And man, I started to...
What school was you going to?
Upton House.
Oh, yeah, Upton House
right?
then, yeah.
And also my name got called out, and a lot of other men got called out, right? So anyway, we went to the office. Now police is in the office, right? So now I'm flapping it now, you know what I mean? We've got to take to Hackney Police Station because your name's been mentioned in blah, blah, blah. You've been stealing stuff from Woolworths, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, cut long story short, took to Hackney Police Station. There's about bloody... I don't know, about 15, 16 of us in the cells. Yeah, because I can't remember who opened up their mouth. But someone opened up their mouth and grassed up everybody. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're all in this, but they put us all in the same cell. It's a big, massive cell at Hackney Police Station, right? So we all sit. Every time that door opened, someone's parents came up.
Oh shit!
So every time they heard the key going, everyone's giving it. Everyone's giving it. Giving it all the big talk. As soon as they heard the key go clang clang, everybody just quiet.
Because you say that might be my mum or my dad.
Anyway, when my mum came, she didn't say nothing to me. She was upset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Got home, and then I was due a beating from my dad. So I shift out the yard, right? Because I didn't want to get another beating off my dad. Cause I was getting that regular. You know what I mean? It was bad. So anyway, that night we stayed out and we was walking past the newsagents in Holly Street, and the window was smashed. Like someone must have broke in there. Like, I didn't break in there. Someone else must have done it. So we see the window open now, and I said to my brethren, let's go in there, man. get some cigarettes and that, you know what I mean? So we went in there and we was just scooping up all the cigarettes and everything. And then as we were scooping up, I see a torch shining. And I said, shit. So I bent down behind the thing, it was police, right? Anyway, they come in, they nicked us, right? And that was the first time I got arrested properly, you know, and had to go to court and all that and everything, you know what I mean? And then that was the start of a long
series of like crime, sort of like life.
Just like nicking cars, breaking into factories and shops mostly, you know what I mean? And, you know... And,
so that was from like the up to now days.
From about the age of 13.
Right, and then you go through up to now and you come out and then you're like progressively getting more and more into...
Well, when I was in up to now, I bought an air pistol to school, right? And I accidentally shot somebody with it. I didn't mean to shoot nobody with it, but I accidentally shot somebody with it. And that person told the teacher, and I got expelled from the school.
Right, okay.
And I got expelled from the school, and I didn't get arrested for it. I think I had to go to court for something else, for another offence. I can't remember what it was for. And they put you on an assessment. Right, I had to go to this place in Shepherd's Bush called Stamford House, where they assess you.
I remember that place, yeah, I remember
and they
Stamford
assess
House.
you, right? I was only young, I was only a little boy, you know what I mean? And they took me there, and then they assessed me to go to Ardale Community School in Essex, which is where I met Everson Rat Pack. Frank Bruno was there. There's quite a few people have been to this school, you know what I mean? And then when I went to that school, Ron, it was just pure bad man in there. So, of course, I'm mixing with all these people. I'm not blaming them for the way I led my life.
Yeah, but again, it's back again. It's like you're in an environment and you're going to assimilate that environment. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So now people are talking about, it's like when people go to prison, you know what I mean? You don't, unless you're going to do like 25 years, people are talking about coups they're going to do when they come out.
Yes, yeah.
Do you get
that's
what I
how
mean?
It was, you know, and I linked up with a couple of the man in the school, and we was doing certain things, you know what I mean? And that's where that started off, you know, and then from there, I was just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And every time I went in, I see the same people who I left in there. And like, they was always, they were the same as me, going in and out. It was like a pattern.
Yeah.
But there was this one guy from Brixton, his name was Winston Robinson, right? And I remember my last charge, right? Last time I went to jail, I got nicked for something. And I said to Winston, he said, what are you in there for, Ken, this time? And I told him what I was in there for. I thought I was going to get some stupid sentence, you know what I mean? He said to me, boy, Ken, you're looking at about 7 years, you know. I went, what are you talking about? He went, yeah, you're going to get about 7, because that's the first time I ever dealt with drugs. And so I didn't realise that drugs was a really bad thing, you know what I mean, right? And he said, yeah, boy, you're looking at about 7. So I went, all right then. So I went back to my cell, and I was thinking of all the ways I could get off this case, you know what I mean? And so what I had to do, I had to make out that I was on heroin, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I was on heroin, and that coke thing was funding my heroin habit. I had a really bad habit, you know what I mean? And that's what I said when I went to court. And I ended up only getting 3 years, you know what I mean? Instead of like 5
And how
or
much did
7.
you have to rub of the 3?
2.
2.
Because I've already done a 3-year sentence before that.
Yeah.
And got parole.
Okay.
After 12 months.
So you were lucky, really?
Yeah.
You were lucky.
So by rights, I could have got the...
Yeah,
because I pleaded and I had a
yeah.
really good solicitor, you know what I mean? And we pleaded the case, and Susan came to court with me, and her mum and my mum was in the court, and everyone was talking on, you know, he's not a bad lad, he's not this, he's not that, but I had a bad record though. And the judge, Suzanne Norwood, she was known for giving people long sentences.
It's mad how you remember the names, isn't it?
Suzanne Norwood, I don't forget the name of judges, boy,
Yeah,
especially not ones like that.
Yeah.
That was the one, everyone, boy, if you get Suzanne Norwood, man, you're going down and this and blah, blah, blah.
But she gave you a
But she gave
blind.
me a
Well done,
blind.
Susan.
Yeah, she gave me
Wherever
a blind.
you are.
And by them times there,
Gone
I
by
wasn't
now,
even thinking
rest
about
us.
DJing or nothing like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I mean, I know we're speaking about the crime and this, that and the other, but I just wanted to kind of, what I heard in what you've said to me, which is quite interesting for me actually, is like, you grew up with your mum and your dad?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I mean...
My mum and dad split up later on though.
Right, okay.
They split up when I was about 18.
About 18.
19.
But you were already on your way in terms of like this crime wave, Kenny, right? So you can't say it was anything to do with... I mean, I have this thing, it's an assumption, and clearly it's a wrong. Do you know what I mean? I know it's wrong anyway, but there's this assumption that you know, people say, well, I never grew up with my dad, and so I never had anybody to kind of like tell me the right way and all the rest of it. What do you think about things like that, Ken?
At the end of the day, it's like this, right? My mum has had my back all my life, no matter what.
Yeah,
right?
mums are like that. Yeah,
no matter what.
Well, I can't say them all, but certainly my mum has been the same. Yeah.
No matter what I did, no matter how bad I was, she was always there for me. That's why I love my mum to bits. Right? My dad, he was like not always there for me. You know what I mean? Like he'd like, for instance, my dad was a printer, right? And back then, before digital, you used to have to put the letters in these. He took me to work one day with him on a Saturday, and I watched him putting all the letters in the things to print, right? And he wanted me to learn that, right? And I said to him, Dad, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. I want to drive a bus.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to do when I was younger. I wanted to drive a bus, right? Because I was fascinated by buses. You know what I mean? I used to go everywhere on buses, all around the place. You know what I mean? And he got a bit annoyed because I didn't want to do what he wanted me to do. You know what I mean? And like, look now, there ain't no printers no more.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Not in that context, anyway.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Right. So.
Because that's really old school, like when you had to put the metal,
the
things were reversed, weren't they?
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, like a typewriter.
And yeah, exactly. And that's what he wanted me to do, and I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? And so, me and my dad kind of went like that. I mean, he wished me happy birthday the other day, you know what I mean? He sends me, but we're not close. My other two brothers, they're close to my dad, but me, I'm not really close to my dad like they are. But I still love him though, he's my dad, you know what I mean? But he was, like, when I got, like, one time I was sitting in the police station and I was a bit cheeky to the police and they slapped me about a bit in the police station. So basically we had a fight in the police station, right? And it was a thing where I had to jump up on the chair, on the bench, and they were standing at the door. And I said, listen, I don't care who comes through first. I know I'm going to lose, but I'm going to start biting people. So they slammed the door and left me in there, right? But I was a bit marked up where they'd whacked me, you know what I mean? So when my dad came in there, we were sitting on the thing. I was only about 15, 16 years old. And I was sitting on the thing with my dad, and the sergeant was sitting there reading out the charges and all that. And my dad looked at me and he said, who hit you? And I said, he did. And my dad stood there like just looked at this copper with a look on his face like he wanted to kill him. And the copper see this, right? And the copper said to my dad, Mr. Del Sol, if you carry on looking at me like that, you'll end up in a cell too. And my dad fixed up. And if he'd said that to my mum would have went, we're going then.
Yeah.
That was the difference, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
You know, but there's nothing wrong with being like that, though.
I
you know what I mean? Because my dad, he just wasn't that guy like that. But my mum, she was just behind me 100%, no matter what I'd done. There was one time she tried to teach me a lesson. I got arrested and I was in Bethnal Green police station. And I was lying there, my mum would be here in a minute and get me out of here, you know what I mean? She came there, she left me in there. She came in, let me see her, and then left me in there. And I thought, oh no. And now I've got to fix up now, but I still didn't fix up.
Yeah.
You know
I mean, so then look, you think of that, you consider that, yeah? You grow up, you come from, like, I don't know, as a young kid, you're a good kid, you come to Holly Street Estate. Do you know what I mean? You're from like a stable family. You get what I mean? Your mum and your dad are a stable family. You got your siblings. I know that you got a couple of brothers. I know, two brothers. Yeah, you got a sister as well, innit, Ken?
No, just two brothers.
Just two brothers, right? Yeah. I know you know your brothers and that. And you're doing your thing. Then you get brought into this world of like crime and what have you, or gangs. Firstly, do you get what I mean? And then you're in and out of prison, which is like, it's a fucking sad story. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a story, it's a common one.
It's a common
right?
one.
It's a common story.
Yeah, it is.
Right? And so you're in and out and you're in and out. To me, that story sounds like, unless you end up doing a long bird, you end up spiritual revelation or whatever it is, somewhere along the line you look and you go, that's not for me anymore. What was the moment for you that changed it all?
So, remember I told you that I got 3 years for drugs, all right? And that 3-year sentence, what I done, I was in a prison called Northfire Prison, all right? And there was another guy called Tony, I won't say his second name, his name was Tony, a white guy, right, from Roman Road. and he was my boy, but he was a bit older than me, you know what I mean? But me and him really got on well, you know what I mean? And he made sure that I had everything I wanted in the jail, like everything, you know what I mean? Because he was one of the top man them, you know what I mean? So like, put it this way, no one wouldn't trouble me because of him, you know what I mean? So one day, Tony got shipped out, because that's how bad he was, you know, so they just ghosted him out one day. Now I ain't got no backup now. But as he got shipped out, more of my friends came in. So like, we built up a little thing, you know what I mean? But they was running riot, like out of order, you know what I mean? And like, I wasn't really feeling it because they was a bit bait, you know what I mean? And I was saying to them, listen man, you got to slow down. I was like, we're gonna end up getting nicked, you know what I mean? Anyway, one morning, I was in my cell, the screws opened up the door, because it wasn't cells, it was like what they call billets. And each billet had about 6 rooms, and each, or 6 or 10 rooms, and each room had 4 or 5 beds in it, you know what I mean? So one day they come into the billet, open up the door, and said to me, Delso, pack your kit. That's what you call when you get ghosted out, you just get ghosted, right? So I packed my kit, and all of us got sent back to Wandsworth prison, and then I got sent to the Isle of Wight. While I was, the first day in the Isle of Wight, I remember coming out my cell. Remember, I'm a bit seasoned in the jail now, you know what I mean? I know about how things run in prison, you know what I mean? So I come out my cell now, and there was this black guy, and he looked at me, and I see him looking at me, and I had my piss pot in my hand, right? And I see him looking at me kind of funny. So I was on him straight away, you know what I mean? And he come towards me, and as he went to like rush with the headbutt, I just done him with the piss pot.
So he just come to attack you for no reason?
For no reason. Don't know him from Adam. Right? It's just like you getting up and jumping on me right now.
Yeah. So and he went to try and headbutt you.
I see him come in with the headbutt.
Yeah.
Right?
So you've gone.
I done him with the piss pot.
Yeah.
And just started to beat him. Right. As I started to beat him, now the screws come from everywhere.
Yeah.
But they never jumped on me. They jumped on him.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And carted him away. And I didn't even get nicked. You know. What I mean? I didn't even get reported or nothing. You know what I mean? So after I'm thinking, why ain't these? And then anyway, cut a long story short, I found out this geezer does it to all the new guys.
Okay.
And I was
try and
new.
Scare him.
Yeah, and I was new.
Yeah.
So he tried it on me, but he come unstuck, right? So anyway, I didn't see him again after that.
Yeah.
And I was in that prison for about a good 6 or 7 months.
And you never saw him again?
I never saw him again.
Could he have still been in the prison, but you never saw him?
He wasn't on none of the other wings. He might have been in the block.
Okay, yeah. And you could be in the block for six months?
If you're that bad, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
right.
if you're that bad, yeah. Because I was the longest I ever done in the block was about a month when I was in Borstal.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get charged, just under investigation.
Yeah.
Because they thought I was doing certain things and I wasn't, but they thought I was because I was living too good in the jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't get charged with nothing. But anyway, one day, I thought I was Jack the Lad, you know what I mean? So one day, it was sheet changing day where you change your sheets and all that, right? And there was this little guy, Ronnie, he was smaller than, he was about to there on me, right? And I just walked to the queue and just pushed in, you know, because the queue was too long. I thought, I ain't queuing up, you know what I mean? So I just, he went to, what the fuck you doing, mate? What the fuck you talking about? Ron, before I knew, I was on the floor.
The little kid, yeah.
I was on the floor, Ron, right? And that's when, and then so I went back to my cell, went to get something to go back and bust his head with.
Yeah.
And someone came to the cell and said, Ken, forget it, don't bother.
Yeah.
And then they told me who he was and rare and all that. And I thought, you know what, this jail life ain't for me, you know.
Right. Because
there's some bad people in this jail and I ain't as bad as them. You know what I mean? These people are bad people. Like, he's the kind of geezer that if I had done something to him, he would have went, all right. And when I land on road, finished. You know what I mean? So, you know, but me and him ended up not being friends, but we ended up getting on all right, you know what I mean? All right. And, but when that happened, because that was the first time I took a knock in jail. Usually I was always winning. If I had a fight, I'd always win, you know what I mean? It was the first time I ever took a bad knock, you know what I mean? And it was embarrassing as well. And I said, you know what, I've got to stop doing this shit, man. Because every time I come out, I ain't got nothing. I'm not successful.
And what year was this?
This was 1980. 86.
86, yeah.
That's when I came
it's interesting,
out.
you know, before, in preparing for the, mentally preparing for the interview and knowing that I was going to be filming with you and stuff, I was thinking about it, and I knew that you'd done time. I didn't know. I made another assumption, and I just had this picture in my head about burglary. Yeah. And I thought about it, and I thought, imagine that when people used to burgle people's houses. I mean, obviously they still do that. They burgle people's houses, and they get this little bit of something, and this, that, and the other. But it's not life changing.
Nah, and I wasn't really into the house thing because it wasn't good.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
a
I mean?
bit personal.
Yeah,
do
it
you get
wasn't
what I
good.
mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I was more like cars. I done a few cars.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
remember
But I
you
wasn't
told
no
me that
big.
before, yeah.
I wasn't no big time criminal. I wasn't no like major player or anything like that. You know what I mean? But I just used to do my thing to earn my money. You know what I mean? And then when I was in Camp Hill now, I just decided that, boy, you know what, right, this thing ain't for me. You know, I'm not successful. I ain't got no money. Every time I come out, if it wasn't for my mum, I'd be fucked now. You know what I mean?
So then you come out. It's 1986.
1986.
You come out, and you have this revelation that perhaps I don't want to do this anymore.
No, I decided that when I was in the jail.
Yeah. So you're
When
in
the boy
jail.
put me on the floor.
Yeah.
About a week later, I decided that I'm not in this.
You're not coming back again.
I'm not in it.
So then where did it take you from there?
Right. So when I was in Camp Hill, there was this white guy who owned a cleaning company, right? And he said to me, Ken, when you come out, look me up and I'll get you a job if you're really serious about going straight. And I said, yeah, I'm 100% serious, right? So he kept to his word. I come out, I phoned him up. It was for a company called Pritchard's Cleaning. And Pritchard's had the cleaning contract for London Underground stations and all that, right? So I used to have to do Amersham, Chalfont and Latimer stations, and another one. There was one more. 3 stations every day I had to clean. One day I went to work and I was talking to the manager because I got on quite well with the management and that. And they said to me, Ken, why are you doing this cleaning shit, man? You should be on working on the actual underground. And I thought I'd never get a job on the underground, not with my record, you know what I mean, all that. He said to me, all you got to do, go Baker Street, fill in the form, go Baker Street, they'll send you to Baker Street, take the exam, and you'll be good to go. So I'd done what he said, didn't think I'd pass it, but anyway, I'd done what he said, went to Baker Street, took the exam, and I ended up being a railman. Never actually drove any trains or anything like that, you know what I mean? But the good thing about working on the underground is when the train came in, like when I used to go to work at Liverpool Street, it was always jam-packed, the platform, so I'd just wait at the front.
And you can get in with the guy.
And the driver would just let me in and I'd just get in that way, you know what I mean? Or stand with the guard at the back, and he'd just let me stand in these things, so I don't have to squash up with everybody, you know what I mean? So that was a little perk there, you know what I mean?
So you ain't got that perk anymore?
Nah, Drit. I ain't been on the underground for years, man.
Well, you ain't even been on the underground?
Nah,
right, okay.
nah,
That's interesting.
I ain't been on the underground. It's usually like, I haven't even been on one of them new buses.
Oh, really?
Because how I was a bus man when I used to love buses when I was younger.
Yeah.
These new buses that have just come out, these diesel electric things, I've never been on one of them.
So you were saying earlier, like before you, or around the same time you were doing the trains and that, that you met with Anthony Bragg, you know what I mean?
And
Braggy,
yeah.
And I know Braggy was like really quite. I mean, as I remember coming into the rave game, into the acid house scene as a raver. Somehow I didn't see where the connection was exactly, but Anthony was already embedded in the acid house scene.
Because let me tell you how that started.
He was completely embedded in the this sort of like ICF vibe. Do you get what I mean?
Let me tell you how that started. Right. One day.
Shout out to Braggy.
Yeah, big up Braggy. That's my boy for a long time. You know what I mean, right? One day. Right, remember I told you about my friend Linda had been asking us to come to these acid house parties, right?
Yeah.
And the word acid put me off.
Right, yeah.
Right, to put me clean off, you know what I mean? I ain't going to no acid, just put me off, you know what I mean, right? So then one day, I can't remember who, it was me, Braggy and Paul, right? Paul used to live on Middleton Road, right? Redskin Paul, like mixed race Paul, right? Braggy at that time stopped working Braggy was working with the NCP car park, and he had an NCP car park van, right? And so we all jumped in his van and we was driving to Southend, our usual Friday night haunt, go Southend and rave at the clubs, right? So I can't remember how we got the drugs, but I can't remember how we got the pills, but we had a pill each. I can't remember how we got it, right? But we took the pill, I'll never forget this, right? We took the pill when we was going under the bridge at Hackney Downs, right?
Yeah.
You go down Lee Bridge Road
Yeah, I know
to
you
South
mean.
End,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So took the pill there, and by the time we got to South End, right, put it this way, we got there, there's a long queue outside the club. We walked to the front like we were some notches, right? I don't know how we got in, but we got in, right? We livened up the club because this club used to play things like Public Enemy and all things like that, you know what I mean? It wasn't really, there wasn't no acid house and all that at the club, you know what I mean? It was just hip hop, rare groove, you know what I mean? Soul, disco kind of thing, right? So anyway, I remember the club finished, and the management said to me and Anthony, use free, every week you get in for free, because we proper livened up that club, right? Proper live. Anyway, so we're driving home now, and I'm still flying off this thing, right? And Anthony said to me, no, or I said to Anthony, let's go and check one of them acid house parties. I know where there's one. My friend told me where there's one, right? So we went to this acid house party. The first one I'd ever been to, it was in around the back of Whitechapel somewhere, right? I remember going through some iron, corrugated iron, and going across some wasteland, and we got into this thing, and the music was pumping, and people were just coming up to me and saying hi, like pretty women, and I was like, what? Shit! It just knocked me sideways, Ron. You know what I mean? It was different to what I was used to. You know what I mean, right? And the music was all right as well, and I was like, boy, them beats, and I'm thinking, yeah, man, this is all right. You know, we ended up staying there anyway, right? Got home late in the morning and all that. Next week now, we're looking for our next party, Dread. Forget South End, we're getting this on Dread, you know what I mean? So that's how that started.
Yeah.
That's what started to get me into acid house. Then I started to find out where was the best places to go to. Like, I think at that time, Groove Rider was running Rage. We used to go to all the big raves. Like,
Yeah, so we're now in the...
I'm in the rave scene.
You're in the late 80s now?
Yeah,
or
86, 87.
Oh, really? That early, yeah?
87, yeah.
Right, okay.
87, right? And, you know, we're finding all these raves and all these warehouse parties and everything.
That's interesting, isn't it? You saying 87 because
Yeah.
you never really hear... Well, I never heard of... You always hear about 89, do you get what I mean?
That music...
88 and 80, but never 87.
Right, well, that music
Yeah.
started to come over in 86, believe it or not.
Right, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because some of the music I've got, when I look at the vinyl, it's 1986.
Right, okay,
You know what I
interesting
mean?
that is,
Right?
yeah, really
So
interesting.
That music must have been coming over here then, but obviously I didn't know that.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I've got a funny feeling Groove and them started to get into it around about them times.
As well,
Starting
right,
to get
yeah.
into that music. People like Danny Rampling and them kind of DJs started to get into that music then, you know what I mean? And yeah, so we started to go to all these warehouse raves, but 88 was when it took off. That's why you hear so much about 88. 86, 87 was the beginner years.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah. So it was there, but you weren't in the press. It weren't thousands of people going. It was like little small parties.
These little parties. The party what I went to must have had about 1,000 people.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? It wasn't
yeah.
really massive. You know what I mean? It's just put a sound system in an area in an old warehouse. Boom. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that was around about 87, right? And then we started to go to all the big raves like Energy, Sunrise, Biology, and all the big massive parties, you know what I mean? Freedom to Dance. I remember there's loads of them, I can't remember the names.
Yeah,
of them,
of course,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But we started to go to all these parties, and then all this time I'm working on the underground. So I've got to juggle that and go to work at the same time. And it wasn't really mixing. So one day I went to Oxford, I was working at Oxford Circus Station, and my friends had just dropped me from the rave to Oxford Circus and then gone back to the rave, right? So I'm in work now, and I always used to carry my uniform in the back of the car, you know what I mean? So I'm in the rave now, in work now, and I'm in the box collecting tickets as they come through, right? And I must have fell asleep. So I remember these two old ladies knocked on the glass.
Yeah.
Better wake up, son, you're gonna lose your job.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I need to do something. I need to get into this thing, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Properly,
yeah.
you know what I mean, right? So Black Market Records was just around the corner. And so in my lunch break, I'd go to Black Market Records, and there was a guy called Stafford who used to work in there. Me and Stafford used to get on really well, you know what I mean? And I used to have my own little box behind there. And that's what started my record collection.
Right, okay.
Was Stafford.
Yeah,
He started putting stuff away for me and all that.
Yeah.
And sorry, I started to buy all the music out of there. All the music that I liked, you know what I mean? I used to hear certain tunes, and before I started to go black market, I met a guy called Adrian Age.
I remember Adrian.
Right.
Yeah.
And Adrian, I remember I went around Adrian's yard one day. It was after a rave, and he started to bust out these tunes on me. And this is I had my pen and paper out, and I was writing down the name of these tunes. You know what I mean? Because I don't think we had mobile phone back then.
No, not at that time. No.
Yeah, and I started to write down the name of these tunes, and I went to black market to Stafford. I said, Stafford, this is what I want.
Yeah.
He said, hey, you know about them tunes? I said, just give me them tunes, get me them tunes. You know what I mean? And that's how I started to build up my record collection. You know what I mean? And then once I built up the record collection now, I said to myself, I need to get into this DJing thing somehow, you know what I mean? I had DJed before that, but what it was, when I was living with my mum and dad, I can't remember how I got it, but I had a double deck thing with, you know, all in one unit. Like with you know the controllers what you get nowadays.
Yeah, it's like with the carpet on the outside, that one.
Right? Right?
I know, it was like an angle like that.
Right, I had one of them, right? Right, and one day I played this
Like a suitcase.
Yeah, like Angela Boston. I played
at
her birthday party, and I bought that there, and I played at her party. All right, so that was the only time I DJ'd. But DJing even wasn't. I'd just done it because I had the equipment.
Yeah.
Right, and then so I started. My record collection started, and I thought, you know what, I need to get into this DJing thing, man. I want to really. I can't go back to crime. You know what I mean? It's either because I never thought that an opportunity like that would come my way. You know what I mean? So it was me and Braggy. Me and Braggy was sitting down one day, and I said to him, we was going to get into it together as a team. You know what I mean? But I think I was more into it than he was. I was serious about doing this thing. You know what I mean? Because I started to buy all the music and everything. He never really had what I had. You know what I mean? I went and got 2 decks. I had a Garage deck and another JVC deck, and one of them never even had pitch control on it. So you had to go like that to learn how to mix and all that. You know what I mean, right? And I was doing that, but just practicing every day and getting used to playing the music and all that. And then one day I met these DJs called Them Two, and one day after a rave, they came round to the yard. That time now I'm living in Wiston Road with Susan. Yeah. Right. And they came round to the yard and we was all sitting there. They went on my decks, and Dean was on my decks for about 3 hours. And he said to me, "Nah, go on, Ken, you have a go now." And I was like, "Nah, Jed, go carry on, just carry on." Right? And I was just watching him, like buzzing and just watching what he was doing. But in my head, I was saying to myself, "Man, you lot need to go now because I want to practice this shit." You know what I mean, right? Yeah. So when everyone went there, boom, I got my decks, started to do what he was doing, and started to get a bit better. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wasn't brilliant, still clanging up the place, but started to get a bit better, you know what I mean? And then one day, I was at this place called Crazy Club.
I remember Crazy Club, yeah.
Right, in Chelsea. It was in Chelsea, yeah. The first one I went to was in Chelsea, right? They used to do it every Sunday, right? And it was in Chelsea. And I remember I went there, me and a few others, I think Braggy might have been with me, and I went there, and the DJs were playing. Now I'm getting a bit of a big head now. I'm thinking I could play better than these lot, you know what I mean? Right. So I said to the promoter, because I made it my business to know who the thing was, right? And there was a guy called Dave, Carl and Dave. Right?
I remember Carl and Dave, yeah, flipping that. I hadn't heard that in years, man.
They used to run Crazy Club, right? And but no, the first time I ever DJ'd properly in a rave was from my friend a guy called Stephen Mills, right? Him and his partner done a rave in the boxing club in Hoxton, and they said, "Ken, do you want to play?" And I said, "Yeah." And that's when I got the first taste of playing out on proper decks in front of an audience, right? And that kind of planted the seed for me. So I've got to big up Stephen Mills for that, you know what I mean? Because, like, you know, he just gave me that chance, and I played for him again, I think, in a pub, right? And that's what got me. I thought, you know, I need to do this.
When do you think it was that you could say that, you know, because everybody gets like a little slot here, a little slot there, you've got some records at home, you know, but then there's always, I mean, certainly in my example, there's a seminal moment when you know what, I'm in now. Do you get what I mean? When do you think that was for you? And what event was it? And why would you say that was it was that event?
Well, the first really person who let me play in front of a big crowd was Groove Rider, right? I remember it was a biology. It was my birthday. It was 1980.
That's Jarvis's party, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was 1989, right? Because that's why I always say when people ask when did I start, I say 1989, but I started before that. But you know, it was 1989. We was in a field. It was early morning, and I remember Ryder saying to me, "Have you got your records?" Because about that time I got to know all the DJs and all that. You know what I mean? And I said yes. I ran back to the car, bought my little crate because I never had no record, but I had a crate, right? And I ran back bought my crate up, and Groove said, like, we'd do a back to back. You know what I mean? So I said, all right, cool. So he done these 1 or 2, and then I went on, and I must have played my first tune, and the police just come and clamped it down. Right, just stopped it, right? So that was my first kind of taste of being on a big rig, and it was a bit scary because when you feel all that bass underneath your foot, you ain't used to that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And this was a proper rig. It had like, the DJ was in the middle on the scaffolding, and then you had one articulated lorry there and one articulated, ran with speakers on both sides. Yeah. I think it was about a 50k sound or whatever, 80k sound or whatever. And that was the first time. And then another time, remember Genesis, the rave?
Yeah.
Right.
But that's where I thought that Anthony Bragg was to do with Genesis.
No, he wasn't to do with Genesis. He knew Wayne, but he wasn't nothing to do with it though. It was Wayne that ran Genesis.
Oh, Wayne, yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, it was Wayne, yeah.
Wayne and what's the other guy's name? I forget his name, but he just got off a big charge as well.
And was it that wasn't Andy Swallow? Was at Genesis?
No. Andy Swallow used to took over Centre Force.
Yeah, but I could have. Yeah, it was Wayne. Yeah, it was Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne Genesis, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Wayne
Rookwood. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One day I was in the Genesis rave on Mere Street.
Yeah.
And Lenny
the head, like the sort of like not like a Roman head, weren't it?
Yeah,
the logo. Yeah.
Right, we was at the rave, and everyone was panicking because Lenny D wasn't there, and he was supposed to be playing next. And I think the DJ who was on had to go somewhere else or whatever. You know what I mean?
That's how I got my first slot.
Yeah, right.
Exactly same situation. Yeah,
right, so Wayne, I said to Wayne, I can go and get my records and be back here in 15 minutes because it's only at the end of Richmond Road the rave was, right? And I played a proper set. I played for about half hour, you know what I mean? And had the place going, you know what I mean? And Wayne was really impressed, you know what I mean? I thought, whoa, yeah, the speed, Kenny Ken, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah. And that was my first proper, in a rave as we know it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right, that's the first time. And then, so I played at Genesis, and then I met Sue and Joe from Labyrinth, and they started to give me regular work. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I still wasn't 100% as a DJ, but you know.
But the work was slowly coming in.
It was coming in, yeah. And then how I could say what gave me what put me on the map, right? Because Labyrinth put me on the map, but there's a bigger map. Yeah. Right? Labyrinth put me on like a little map where only certain people knew who I was and that, you know what I mean? But it's when I met Khan and Dave and I started running up my gums, I said to him, well, I can play better than this geezer here. And they looked at me and they went, yeah, all right. Busby's on a Sunday. Come down there, bring your records, because by that time they had moved from Crazy Larry's, right? When it was in Chelsea, it was called Crazy Larry's. Same two people, Khan and Dave. Yeah. When it moved to Busby's, they called it Crazy Club, right? So by this time, I just got to meet Ray Keith, Jumping Jack Frost, you know what I mean? And I remember Dave said, right, there's me, Ray Keith, and Jumping Jack Frost. The 3 of you are going to come play on Sunday. Whoever plays the best set will keep you on as resident. So I was like, damn, man, practicing all week. Just like how you was with the back-to-back with Randall. I was like that, Ron. I was like practicing every day. Come away, I'm practicing, you know what I mean, right? And we went to the club, and I can't remember who went on first, Frost or, I went on last anyway. But anyway, Ray went on, smashed it. Yeah. Frost went on, smashed it. Yeah. I was like, shit, I'm not gonna get this job, and I really wanted this job, Ron, because that was the place to be, you know what I mean? So I went on and smashed it as well, right? And we was waiting for them to tell her who was the best, right? But they couldn't decide who was the best. So they took all three of us. And that's how all three of us got on Crazy Club at the same time, you know what I mean?
Because I remember going, this is before I was, definitely before I was on a circuit, and not in that context anyway. And Ray was already resident at Astoria.
Yes.
He was already resident at Astoria, do you know what I mean?
It was me, Ray Keith, Ryder, Matthew B, Frost, LTJ Bookham, what's his name? Alex P.
Yeah. At Astoria?
Yeah. Dominic, DJ Dominic.
Yeah, what year was that, do you reckon?
89, 90.
Yeah, 89. Because I was kind of like, I was more turning up there with like Rebel and whatever.
So you started, I'll tell you when because Rebel, how I met Rebel, I met Rebel through Ibiza raves.
Right, yeah.
Paul Ibiza.
Yeah.
When he used to do the Ibiza raves in King's Cross and that.
You're right, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I met him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we would kind of like, that was like kind of like from 1989 when he was a bit like more like of a pop star. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, Double Trouble.
Yeah, that's right. And so we were kind of getting into the raves. The rave scene was happening simultaneously. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, we were going to like Rage, you know, Groove and Fabio were already playing there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I was going to Astoria with my pals from Hackney and whatever, and Ray was already. I can't remember you lot, to be honest, being there, but I do remember Ray it being already established.
When Crazy Club moved to Astoria, we'd already, because all what I've just told you, me and Frost and Ray, this was before they went into Astoria.
Yeah, before they went in.
Know what I mean?
That's
they
right.
went from Crazy Larry's in Chelsea
to
Busby's
to
Astoria.
Which is next door anyway, wasn't it? Yeah, that's
and then they moved into Astoria, and that's when the Crazy Club really took off.
Yeah,
when it moved to Astoria.
It's mental, yeah.
You know what I mean? And there was like, I don't remember Fabio playing for them quite a lot, but I remember Groove was there all the time. Matthew B, Ray Keith, because Ray used to work in City Sounds.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Ray
and Ray used to give me a lot of my music. He used to have there was another guy in there, because I used to go in there before Ray started working in there, and then Ray started working in there, and Ray used to put enough tunes away from me all the time, regular like clockwork. He used to look after me, you know what I mean, and look after Groove, look after a whole heap of man, you know what I mean. And Astoria, we was there regular at Astoria, and then Crazy Club finished. But by that time, I'm established now as a regular on the circuit, and so I start to get work all over the place, you know what I mean, here, there and everywhere, you know what I mean. Telepathy came out. I wasn't really a big Telepathy DJ though. I've never really, like, you was most probably played on them more than I did, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So if we go just from you know, like the early 90s going into jungle, like what was your kind of experience of that, and then talk us through like leading up to like when you winning the belt and your labels and stuff like that.
When I remember when jungle started to come through, because there was people like you had Doc Scott, Simon Bassline Smith and all them, like controlling North, right? With their kind of jungly beats, right? Jungle techno, whatever you want to call it, right? And then, but down south, you had man like Para, Dance Master. Remember the Living Dream records? That was really round about my first taste. They started to put out dub plates and that was round about my first kind of taste of real jungle, you know what I mean? Without the breakbeat in it, without the 4/4, you know what I mean, right? And one day I remember Groove was playing some tunes at Roast, and I said to him, Groove, I'm not really feeling this, you know. You know what I mean? And
jungle tunes.
Yeah. And he just looked at me and like gave that, you know, the Groove Rider smile, you know what I mean? I just say, I don't know what he was saying in his head, but he must have been saying, you will, don't worry. You know what I mean, right? Or something like that. But you know, Groove always had that smile, you know what I mean? Right, he's still got it now, but he always had that smile, but the crowd was popping off though, you know what I mean? Then, I can't remember whether it was Dance Master or Para, they gave me a tune and it had some reggae in it, and I just went mad, and I was like, yeah, this is me all day long, Dread, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's when I started to get into the jungle. You know, because some of the house stuff I used to play was kind of raggified as well. The ragga lick to it as well, you know what I mean? But some of this stuff what Groove was playing was a bit, for me personally, not for the crowd, but for me personally, was too deep for me. But the crowd was having it, you know what I mean?
Did it have rugger samples in it at that time, the one that Groove was playing?
Not really.
Yeah, no, that's right, because...
Not really.
But I mean, for me, I'll tell you straight, for me, I think, I mean, it's all a matter of opinion, but I think that those days of Groove, I think that, for me, that was my favourite era for me and Groove. Do you get what I mean?
What, for Jungle?
Yeah, for his style.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
He had a particular sort of like... You know what I mean? It was just like that. I mean, it suited his name.
My favourite era for Groove Rider, right?
Yeah.
For Groove, right? I mean, he's always been a good DJ, but my favourite era for Groove Rider was when he used to play with DJ Bones and them man there.
Okay.
And he used to play on the Sunrise Lick and them big raves
yeah,
there, right?
Yeah.
That was my favourite time for Rider because his name suited what he used to do on them decks.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
He was fire, Dread. When you knew Groove, I remember a whole convoy just looking for where Groove Rider was playing. And then when we found out where he was playing, Fabio was with him as well, right? And then I can't remember where it was, but I remember we was looking for where Rider was playing. We found out where he was playing. We got to the gaff, and then we heard Groove Rider and Fabio are not going to play because there's no monitors in the gaff. Right? And then in my head, I'm thinking, what the fuck are monitors? What's monitors? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Right? This was before I really got into the thing, right? I mean, what's monitors? Groove, right? All I remember was people saying Groove and Fabio ain't playing because there ain't no monitors, right? That's how big of a following he had back then, you know what I mean? A whole convoy just looking for where they're playing.
Yeah.
Fuck everyone else. Just wanted to know where Groove Rider and Fabio was playing. You know what I mean? So my days, they was my days, because the way he used to stand behind the decks and used to roll out them mixes and just... and be skinning tea when he knows he's done a good mix, and he'd just be skinning tea, and you know what I mean. And those was my days for Rider, and then after that, the Jungle day when he was bringing in these different beats, well, I couldn't get my head around at first, you know what I mean, because I was used to full, you know what I mean. And then he started to bring in these other beats, man, and like once I got into it, then I saw a different side of Rider, you know what I mean, where this geezer's proper going in, man. He's like a connoisseur.
But by the time we'd moved on and time had moved on, and then and then Roast was at, I suppose, even at Linford Film Studios. Do you get what I mean? Which was like the probably longest standing residency. That was my favourite time for him.
I remember when I first started at Roast, I played at the first Roast, and you was on that.
I didn't know it was the first one.
That's when Jungle started to break through. Started to creep in there. The first. Because I mean, even then, when I played that first Roast at Turn Mills for Paul, I think it was Paul.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, we were still playing Fall to the Floor or Jungle Techno.
As that's right.
It, you know what I mean? But we were still playing Fall to the Floor. A lot of the music what we had was boom boom with the breakbeat running through that. You know what I mean? You know?
So it was still that with the breakbeat running through it.
It was still
but then there was still.
There were certain tunes about no doof doof doof.
And there were some which didn't have any breaks either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I remember I played this tune called Ragamuffin DJ. I can't remember the name of the bloody tune now. Buckaroo. This tune called Buckaroo, right? It wasn't even no speed run. It wasn't even normal speed. It was slower. But when I used to play that at Rose, they used to go mad.
Love it,
and it wasn't even no normal speed like normal music, like 140 or it was about 120 or 115 or something like that. You know what I mean?
I mean, for the audience, you know what I mean? There's like watching and whatever, they won't know like what Roast is all about, but or a lot of the parties that we're speaking about, unless they're like historians or they were there. Do you know what I mean? And they're, you know, like, or they're of age, you know what I mean? But for like a younger audience, you know, a lot of the parties we're speaking about, these were the type of parties that steered the scene. Do you get what I mean?
To what it is today.
You know? And so while we're speaking on the same breath with Roast and like the impact that it had, and as was Crazy Club, and then the bigger parties like Energy, Biology, Sunrise, but then you know, like you were also like a resident at Paradise Club.
Yeah, my main, to be honest with you, I'll be totally honest, AWOL was what really pushed my name out there.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah.
AWOL playing for like, you know, JP, you know, with me. I think it was me, Mickey Finn. At first it was me, Mickey Finn, Dr. S. Gachet, GQ, obviously, Richie Fingers, Frankie Shagbones, to name but a few.
But Randall weren't there at the time.
Randall weren't there at the beginning. Randall came a few months later.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Randall wasn't there from the off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I always say, when people say to me, like when I talk about Randall, and I say, well, put it this way, I don't care what anyone else says. When Randall came to that club, he gave everyone a kick up the arse.
Yeah.
Right, and he shook it up, like in the sense that he was on another level, how we was playing. You know what I mean? I thought, well, I want to be like him.
Yeah.
I want to play like that. I want to play as good as him. Not be like him, but I want to play as good as him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know...
It's interesting, isn't it? Because at that time, it was like there was like a couple of residencies. Like Roast was a residency, AWOL was a residency, and all, they were different, but they were the same.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were the same.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think that was like, that if there was like a peak in like sort of like of like jungle clubbing, not like big parties, but like clubbing, I think that was kind of like a good period of time. In
the AWOL days.
Scene,
the AWOL days for me was the pinnacle of jungle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Pinnacle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
And you know, I remember Darren J came in. Mickey brought Darren in. Darren J came in a few months later or whatever. Randall came in, and that was when I first met Goldie, because Goldie used to carry Randall's records all the time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
funny how things change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went to you know, and through Randall, I got to meet the guys from Reinforce, got to learn what their gig was, what they was about. You know what I mean, and everything. And they started to fire me with rhythm as well. You know what I mean? And but Randall, when he came there, he kind of, I thought, this geezer's mixing really well and really tight, and you know, I used to watch him watch him when he was playing, you know what I mean? And before I met Randall, I never really used to use my EQ to mix. I was just bang in and bang out, you know what I mean? And like, you know, it was still a good way of mixing, but the way Randall, he was using his EQs properly and all that, and I thought, right, that's why it sounded like that. Because I knew what he was doing, but I'd never done that before, you know what I mean? And so I thought, right, I'm going to do that too then. I still used to mix different tab, totally different.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like these techniques that
Yeah.
people use that
it worked though,
that
because it was making me sound cleaner.
Yeah, and this is the
You know
thing.
what I
It's
mean?
like it's like so many things that were started back in those days that everybody just completely takes for granted now. But somebody was the first person to ever do it.
Yeah. Like I see, I'm not saying Groovin that never used to mix like that.
Yeah.
But Randall was the first person who I took notice to, because his mixing was just, it was just, to me, next level. I'm not gonna lie, it was next level. And like, I remember when I done my first back-to-back with Randall at AWOL, and everyone was saying to me, he's gonna murder you, Dread. You know what I mean? He's gonna this and he's gonna that, you know what I mean? And you know, when we done the first back-to-back, it was hard to keep up with him to better what he was doing.
I remember you lot tried to set me up. Remember?
Charlie, we get to that in a minute, right? We get to that in a minute.
Do you remember you tried to set me up, Ken?
Yeah, I'll get not me. Me never try to set up nobody, right? Right? But listen, right? So when then we done another one, back to back, with Randall, and people saying, "You're mad, Kenny, Ken.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't care. That's the only way you're going to get better, to play with the best. You know what I mean, right? So we played the second one, and Randall, bless him, he came up to me and he said to me, Ken, that was you, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you get done the first time, you ain't going to get done the second time.
Yeah.
You're either going to be as good as or better. You know what I mean? And like, you know, I kept up to his ass, you know what I mean? And like, he came up to me, fair play, and he said to me, Ken, you know what, that was you, man.
Yeah.
Because our selection, that's when I started to learn about, it's not just having the best tunes, you got to be able to select them properly as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've
not
got to be a DJ. Yeah,
it's not about just having the best tunes and all right, you got a pile of bangers in your bag. So what? You don't play them right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? You know, and I was still learning as a DJ. Even then, you were still. You know, I wasn't the finished article then. I was still learning as a DJ. You know what I mean? And I was always ready to learn. You know what I mean? As a DJ. You know, and then what I call the most famous back-to-back ever was you and Randall.
That's what I'm saying. The setup. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't you, of course. It wasn't you, but the way how I remember it and the era that it was. You know what I mean? I was kind of like having quite a whale of a time as a DJ, and then I kind of like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I suppose I was getting a bit complacent, a bit sort of like, yeah, I got this. You know what I mean? I got this, and I think it was being able to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think, if anybody, it might have been JP or one of them lot, because don't forget, Roast was doing their thing, weren't they? And AWOL were doing their thing. And although they were quite different crowds, they were still two promotions that were, in a way, competing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember Jay...
But the only difference between Roast and AWOL is that AWOL was every week.
Yeah, we were every Sunday.
Not every... Was it every Sunday?
Yeah, it was every Sunday.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Sunday.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
I remember them saying, yeah, you're going to do a back-to-back with Randall. And I thought to myself, oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, all right, sweet. Do you know what I mean? And I remember that day, I had never, normally I've got loads of pals with me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When I was playing that, and I was completely on my jacks.
Yeah.
And I turned up there, and all you lot were there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Ron, that was the best back-to-back though, man.
It was good. I had a good lot of fun.
That was a killer dread. It was like in a boxing ring dread. And like, I remember Randall Geordie's mixing the crowd to go crazy. And then Ron, it was like you were saying to yourself, what, is that all you got? And then Ron would come around, bust up that mix, what Randall just done. And then Randall would say, cha. And then Randall would bust up that mix and it would bust up. It was just crazy, man. It was just...
It was like 4 hours.
Yeah, the crowd was going nuts, Ron. That's why I always say, I've done an interview with G and Mickey the other day, right? And even on that interview, I said, the best back-to-back I've ever heard up till this day is you and Randall.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
Because you was beating up each other. It was like me and Nicky Black Market done a back-to-back the other day, right? At Forbidden Forest Festival, right? And I'm not a jump-up DJ, right?
Yeah.
I don't really play jump-up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I never play, but I don't play. I'm not really known for that, you know what I mean? I'm known for more jungle, you know what I mean, right? So the first time I done a back-to-back with Nicky Black Market at Boomtown Fair, right? Every time I'd bust some wicked mix, he would come with the jump-up. And the crowd obviously are gonna go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I can't compete with that, right?
Yeah.
So this time now, me and Nicky, don't get me wrong, me and Nicky's like that, right?
Yeah.
So this time now, we was setting up our shit on the decks and that, and I said to Nicky went to me, I've got something for you, you know. I said, don't worry, I've got something for you too. Watch, right? Watch. And that set off the set.
Yeah.
So we was like how you and Randall, bam, 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 bam. But it was fun though. It was really, the crowd was loving it. Me and Nicky loved it after. Nicky said to me after, he goes to me, Ken, you know what, right? We should do a Kenny Ken and Nicky Black Market all night. And I said, yeah, I'm up for that.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because that's like, it's like an unwritten, code, yeah? Or thing that we are when we DJ amongst each other. We are being competitive.
Of course.
We're being, you know, you got a man who's going to be on before you got someone who's going to be on after you, and you're that bit in the middle. Wherever you are, whatever your set time is, you still want to be that man. But yeah, it's all fun, and it's kind of like, brings me to the point where we're saying now the ultimate sort of like clash situation, which is like when you won the jungle clash. Yeah.
They tried to set me up. I was asked to enter Soundclash, right? Like a jungle Soundclash thing, right? And I turned around and at first I was like, nope, not doing it, because everyone was saying, boy, that's a career finisher, you know. If you don't win it, your career done. That's what was going around, you know what I mean? And I said, you know what? My mate Errol Remadon, who I'd done Everyman with, because by that time I'd done my second track called Everyman, right? And he said to me, oh man, I'll fix you up with dub plate and go and win this thing here. It's a sound clash, you know what I mean? So I said, all right. So anyway, I think they had 2 rounds. Like I was in two heats, you know what I mean? And in the first heat, I won that, or not win it, but I got through to the final, you know what I mean? And it was leading up to the final, I was hearing rumours that I'm not going to mention no names, right? But I'm hearing rumours that they don't want you to win. They do not want you to win, right? And this was certain promoters and certain DJs, right? But in fact, the promoters were actually, one of the promoters who was actually doing the Soundclash didn't want me to win, all right? It set me up to lose, right? So, cut a long story short, Rebel MC, jumping jack for some Brian G, especially Brian, right? Them two just loaded me up.
I do remember there being this sort of thing in the background going, right, we must make Kenny win this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember that.
The man them
was like, we must make Kenny win this,
win
and
it,
that's
right?
it. And I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So all the people like what I've just mentioned, like Frost, Conga Natty, Rebel MC, the man, they wanted me to win it, right? But there were certain other people didn't want me to win it, right? Because that was a game changer, like in the fact that if you win that, you're gone clear, right? So I remember going down to see Rebel. Rebel gave me a load of tunes. In fact, he gave me about 3 or 4 dub plates. That's all I needed, right? And Brian loaded. That was the first time you ever heard that tune. Doom, 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 doom. Time Stretch, is it called?
Yeah. Dun, dun, yeah.
First time, right? So, the man is loading me up now. So before the final, I was playing at
You must have been. It's a nice feeling when you know you got a bag full of dubs.
I'm armed because I know none of them like, ain't got these tunes there.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to any of them, like Brox, Devious D, DJ Rap, Mickey. Everyone.
They were all in the clash. So it was those people who were in the clash.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I can't remember who was in there.
There was
I only know that you won it. I didn't remember who else was in it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like Mickey went and had some Saxon dub plates made, and then they kind of sabotaged him a little bit as well because
Saxon did.
Yeah, Saxon didn't sabotage Mickey.
Yeah. The promoters did.
The promoters kind of sabotaged him a little bit because I remember Mickey had these Saxon dub plates made and they were sick.
Yeah.
Right, that was bad, you know what I mean, right? But some of them was like, I think some of them might have been saying things about us, you know what I mean? And they didn't want that in the clash. But that's what a sound clash is about.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why he went and had them made, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which if I had that access, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So Mickey couldn't really play them dub plates.
Right, yeah.
So that kind of knocked him out a little bit, you know what I mean? Right? And then you had Brocky and Devious and DJ Rap and all. Anyway, so I got the tunes now. I've gone to Paradise Club at AWOL, purposely got an earlier set because I wanted to test out these tunes. Listen, when I played my set at AWOL, done some damage, right? So I remember Goldie, Randall, everyone was saying to me, you better win this thing, you know. Don't come back without the belt, you know, Kenny Ken. Don't come back with it. I remember Goldie with his Wolverhampton accent. Don't come back without the belt, you know, and all that. Right? Everyone was cheering me on, you know what I mean? So I said, all right. So I went, I drove down to Roller Express now, got there. My brother was there, Ray Davidson. Davidson don't even rave to Jungle. He's a rear groove man, but even he was there, right? All I remember, I can't remember too much about it, but I remember when it come to my set now, I started to play a normal DJ set like I was at AWOL, right? And all I remember was Davidson, who don't never go jungle, who don't know niche about jungle, come up to me in the ring and said to me, Ken, forget about mixing because DJ Rap, she's killing it. Just draw tune. And that's why you don't really see a lot of mixing going on in my set. Because I was just drawing tune, one after the other. And they was just getting jacked up one after the other. And the meter was going high.
So how was it? I mean, paint the picture for someone who wasn't there because I didn't go to the clash, so I didn't see it.
Right.
So explain that because that sort of level of production doesn't happen anymore.
Right. So the Jungle Soundclash, right, was a big event held at Roller Express, which is a venue in North London, North East London, right, just off the North Circular Road, and basically they made a proper boxing ring in the middle of this big club, which holds thousands of people, right? And it was a proper boxing ring, and the DJs were in the boxing ring, right? And you had FABIO and Moose, there's a few other MCs, they was hosting the thing, you know what I mean, right? And then we had to battle it out. And then on the wall, they had a noise meter who could make the most noise, right? So DJ Rap, she was busting it up. She was like, before I went on, I was watching this meter, boy, and it was touching the red all the time. And I was saying, Bomber, oh shit. See, when I came on with the first tune Rebel MC gave me, right? I come on with that, I started with that. Jesus Christ. And then when I played Time Stretch, oh Lord, it just went, Ron, up to this day, I've never had a reaction like that, right? The reaction I got that day for them 2 tunes, right? Killed off the dance. Killed it off. And like, so at the end, they was doing, let's hear it for so-and-so, let's hear it for so-and-so. And when it come to my name now, it was like, let's hear it for Kenny Ken. And the thing just went, whoo.
Just stayed in the red.
Yeah. And they could not deny me the win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even after I won the belt, I got the belt. I still got the belt to this day.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though I won the belt, I never got paid. I had to kind of make up noise for my money because like they didn't want me to win it. And I had to, you know what I mean?
It's interesting. It was like, I mean, when you think about it, like I can't remember when last. I think I was at your flat when I saw the belt actually, and I think I was at your flat when I saw it, and I saw it in real life. It was a lot of work went into making that belt, you know, bro.
Proper brass.
It's like a flipping proper carved out.
Yeah, brass. I think it's brass.
It's like a lot of work went into that, and then you think about this, the boxing ring and the noise meter.
Oh, they spent a lot on production. I'll give them that.
It was a lot into that.
It was a good. It wasn't no joke business thing. You know what I mean? It was a proper Soundclash. Because I remember, like years later, some guys was trying to do a second Soundclash, and they asked me, would I put the belt up? And I went, nope. No. These guys had their Soundclash and it was nowhere near like Cow Rollers.
The level of production.
I didn't even enter that one, you know what I mean? I didn't enter it because, you know,
it's done and dusted.
What I wanted to play for them, they couldn't give me. And they didn't even ask because they knew I was going to come with some ridiculous figure, you know what I mean? So I won the belt, I'm the Soundclash champion, that's my belt, go and do your thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then years later again, you had the big clash with me and the Ragga Twins and Remark and Potential, Jungle Warriors against everyone else.
Oh right, that was
recently.
Was that Printworks?
Printworks, yeah.
Yeah, Printworks, yeah.
And we won that too.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that. That's quite funny.
That was Groove and Fabio's thing, right?
That was funny. That's funny. Ragga Twins, they were like, they got so emotional.
They come into the real thing, innit?
Yeah, they got so emotional. It was just like, I was like, whoa.
But that's their game.
Yeah, I know.
That's their game.
I know.
Even Aries, like you know, Born on Road, Benny Page, Trigger.
Yeah.
Trigger called me the next day and he went, boy, Kenny Ken, all the man came with the real thing.
Yeah.
Even Trigger rung me up the next day because there wasn't no animosity against anybody.
No, there wasn't.
It was
I'll
like,
tell you who was close. You know who?
Born on Road.
I think that what's name was close as well. Was what one was Voltage in?
What, SDC?
Yeah.
Don't you remember when we bought out Ira?
Oh right. Yeah.
And Flinty goes, SDC, chat, I don't have no money.
Yeah.
Don't you remember when they all tried to book Ira and Ira blanked all of them and come on stage for us? You know what I mean? Right? But SDC.
What did that stand for again? Do you know?
Shadow Demon Collective.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, everyone was good.
I think that it was. Yeah, everybody done their bit.
Everybody was good.
But you lot, it was a seasoned. You lot are seasoned.
But we came with the real thing, though. You know what I mean? And that's what won it for us.
Yeah. There was another clash, but it wasn't a jungle clash. It was when it was Shy Effects, Chase and Status and all of that lot.
Oh, Red Bull thing.
Red Bull, yeah. That was a different type of thing, though. Do you know what I mean? But I remember they went in. But yeah, so
after winning the Soundclash, now that opened doors for me. Obviously, you know, I was a Soundclash champion. I started playing all around the world. I was playing around the world before that anyway, but I started playing more around the world. You know what I mean? Like, never been to America. Started going to America regular. Started going all over the place, right? And my DJing career's going all right, everything's sweet. And then AWOL finished. And it's like someone took my left foot away because now I ain't got my regular spot no more. I'm still getting enough work, you know what I mean? But my regular spot's gone, you know what I mean? And by this time now, Metalheads is coming through with their sound, which is a whole different sound again, you know what I mean? And I wasn't really playing them kind of beats, you know what I mean? So it's very unlikely that I would get a set at Metalhead. I played for Metalhead one time, and that was only because Bailey couldn't do it, and they asked me to play, and I went and played a set for them one time, and that was it. But you know, the Metalhead sound was overtaking everything, and the junglists are fighting against each other, and you know, so I lost my direction a little bit in the whole thing. You know what I mean? And then I just carried on playing what I thought, what I wanted to play.
Because you even moved out of London
yeah,
as well.
I kept it ragga. I moved out of London when I first started DJing in '91. I moved out of London.
Was it that far?
yeah,
Ken?
yeah.
What, to Leicester?
No, to Cambridge when I met Tracy, Chris's mum.
Ah, yeah, Cambridge.
Right, I
yeah.
moved out of London. I met her in 1990. Or yeah, around about them. I met her early anyway.
Yeah.
Because Chris was
Yeah, I
only,
remember. Yeah, that's right.
he was only 3 years old.
Yeah, that's
and I moved
right,
up to Cambridge. All right, and yeah, so skip past all that now, and started my record label in '98. Right, Mix and Blend Recordings, and you know, started to put out tunes. But I'll be totally honest though, the record label thing, that was just a thing where I just jumped on it because everyone else had record label. Right, I'm a DJ. I'm not a producer. I'm not a record label owner. You know what I mean? That's why I admire people like Brian, who's been running V Records for so long, and it's one of the top labels out there. You know what I mean? But that wasn't I just got a label because everyone else had a label, so Kenny Ken has to have a label too, kind of thing. I'm just being straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? It was putting out a few tunes here and there. You know what I mean? And the label did do well though. It was doing well. You know what I mean? You know, we had support from guys in America, and it was doing pretty well. But I wasn't on it like how Brian was on V or Doc Scott was on 31 Records, or I wasn't on it like that. Because remember, I'm still partying, going out partying and all that, you know what I mean? So then I got married in 2000. I got married. That lasted about 6 years. Then we went like that, me and Trace. We just, you know, just went like that, right? But we're still good friends to this day, you know what I mean? But Chrissy stayed with me. He decided when we split, I said, Chris, what do you want to do? Go with your mum or stay with me? He said, I'll stay with you. Boom. So Chrissy stayed with me, then eventually Chrissy moved out and got his own place and blah, 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 right? But when me and Tracy split up, I'm not gonna lie, it hurt, right? I knew it was coming, but when it happened, it hurt, you know what I mean? And it really hurt bad. All right, because now I've lost my other foot now, you know what I mean? And, you know, before that she stopped doing the, she said, Ken, do you mind if I stop doing this agency thing because I'm not really feeling it no more? This was before we split up, and I said, Trace, whatever you want to do, babe, just, if you don't want to do that, then don't do it, all right? Because I know where I'm going, all right? And Tanya said, send him come. As soon as Tracy said to Tanya, Tan, I want to stop doing Tom promotions, would you take Kenny? Tanya straight away said, send him come, straight away. They're the only really two agents I've had. I was on Dynamics before Tracy started doing it, and I was with Caroline for a bit as well. But Tracy and Tanya were my two agents. That's all I've had, you know what I mean? And so when me and Tracy split up now, shit started to go downhill for me. Didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? Just partying every week, or whenever I could. You know what I mean? I was at my mate Ev's house every week getting lean, doing business, spending the whole week to recover and all that bollocks, you know what I mean? And, you know, bills not getting paid and bailiffs knocking on door and all that shit, you know what I mean? This was when I was living in Colchester. And I was going through a rough patch, you know what I mean? But I was still getting work, you know what I mean? And people were still, it tailed off a little bit because I think certain people realised that I was just going through the motions and wasn't really in it like Kenny Ken.
I think that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I do know a number of DJs who have been through that. It's like this, like just this moment. It might last for months, weeks, sometimes even years.
No, this thing for me lasted for a couple of years.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Where
You
it
know
might
what I mean?
last years, and then
Yeah.
you're like, you're going through the motions to the point that it's like.
There was
You're
one
not the
point,
same
right?
person. You're not the same DJ that you were before.
To give you an example, right? There was one point where I was so down that I didn't talk to no one about it, Ron. You know what I mean? I didn't like, a lot of people would go and talk to somebody me, I wasn't that guy. I bottled it in, and then I met my mate Martin, and he used to be the manager of a Quick Fit exhaust centre in Colchester. I mean, they became really good friends, right? And things went downhill for me, was going downhill for me a little bit. And I was even contemplating on getting a job with him. That's how it was. This was 2008, 9.
Really? Right,
yeah,
okay,
right. And I was even contemplating on just jacking it all in, just getting a regular job, right? Because my head wasn't around it no more. And then I met Jazz, right? One day I was at a rave, and my friend Carney, who I'd known for years before that, she was with her...
That's Bridges' missus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was with her husband. Anyway, she was with her husband at the time, right? And she come up to me, she said to me, the best thing that ever happened to me, Ron, she said to me, Ken, remember Jazz? I said, Jazz? And I was trying to remember, oh yeah, Jazz, yeah. She goes, she's just split up with her husband. She's not with him no more, right? So I said, well, they split up for good. She said, yeah. I said, you sure? She said, yeah.
I said, boy, all right.
Right.
I said, yeah, all right.
Right.
I mean.
So, and this is no word of a lie, right, Ron?
Yeah.
I swear to God, this is no word of a lie, but the day when Carney told me that, the evening when Carney told me that, I remember it was at a roast, right? They had roasted at near Greenwich somewhere. They had a rave there somewhere, right? And when she told me that, I went, Jazz. Right. All right. So anyway, I got home. When I got home, I looked on Facebook, and there was a message from Jazz.
Yeah.
I said, hold on, wait a minute. So I phoned up Carney. I said, Carney, did you tell her that I was going to call her or something? Carney went, no, I ain't even spoke to her. I went, shut up. She went, I said, well, I just got a message off of her. I couldn't believe it, one.
Yeah.
So it was like fate, you know what I mean, right? So remember, I'm still on the spiral, right? So anyway, cut a long story short, me and Jazz started messaging each other, got on the phone, but I never really, then she came down to Colchester and stayed with me, right, for that weekend, right? And that was the first weekend we actually went out. And then she see how, I mean, don't get me wrong, my gaff was nice, you know what I mean? But I was still on that downhill. You wouldn't be able to tell just by looking at me. It was just what was going on inside my head and that, you know what I mean? I remember I said to her, right, listen, I'm going to do my work and then I'm going to drive my ass up to Newcastle, right? But if I come all the way up there, I ain't going home straight away, you know? She was like, cool, don't worry, you can stay as long as you want. I said, all right, cool. So I drove up to Newcastle, and then when I drove up to Newcastle and I see the way she was running her shit, that's what made me think, I've got to fix up. If I want to keep this woman, I need to fix my ass up. I need to be
because she was like just really organised.
Yeah, she was not
driven, whatever.
Don't get me wrong, she was a worker. She had her priorities right.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? But I didn't.
Yeah, I understand.
I was just doing whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go and get lean, I'll go and get lean, and then worry about the consequences after. You know what I mean? About not what can be, but you know you got to do this. Fuck that, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? That's how I was. You know what I mean? Then I started to go around Carney's, and I see the way Carney was carrying herself too. And I said, listen, these people are running things. They're like doing their shit proper. That's how I need to be doing my shit. So I slowed down on the partying, started to see more Jazz, you know what I mean? In fact, I've nearly completely stopped, you know what I mean? Even when we split up, I was still going up there because we was tight, we was proper tight, you know what I mean? Like her daughter said to me, Ken, you're like a dad to me. The other daughter, Molly, who's 3, she still calls me to this day.
Yeah.
In fact, if I look on my phone now, I bet you any money there's a missed call from her, you know what I mean? Right? And so Jazz gave me that, you know, I started to watch the way she was doing things, and I said, right, I've got to organise my shit properly, you know what I mean? I've got to take a bit more responsibility on my life.
Yeah, because I remember you told me one time, we were having a conversation about her. I remember you were like told me about this place where you were mentally, you get what I mean, and that she had sort of like almost like grabbed you like by your lapels kind of thing, not phically but metaphorically.
Yeah, that's what she did do.
And was like, you know, well, you're fucking Kenny Ken.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? You know, like and
you know
I remember that story.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. One day we was I can't remember. She had just moved into a new house, right? And she said to me, we was talking about something, and she went to me, yeah, but you're Kenny Ken. you know, and I've never looked at myself as this big DJ. I'm just a normal kid from the block. I never looked at myself like that, Ron, you know what I mean? Until she said, yeah, but you're Kenny Ken. What the fuck, you know what I mean? And that gave me a proper kick up the arse, Ron, as well as seeing the way she's running her shit, you know what I mean? And she started saying to me, you should be doing this, why ain't you doing that? So I said, all right, I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm not doing that no more. I'm not doing that no more. That's no good for me, you know what I mean? Let me just fix up. And, you know, as God would have it, it's like I've been given a second chance to be somebody in this thing, you know what I mean? And like, you know, she's dead now, Jazz. Like, she died in 2017.
God rest her soul, man.
And when she died, she, before she died, about a year before that, she had cancer, right? In fact, when I met her, she had cancer in 95, 96, 95.
I didn't know that.
She had cancer. She survived that. Then she got it again while we was together, right? And I was there for her, all through it, right? She lost her breasts. They give her a boob job and everything, and said, that's it, it's gone, right? So me and her mum was up, because that time now I'm in with the mum. Me and the mum get on really well, you know what I mean? I spoke to the mum the other day, you know what I mean? We get on really well. The brother, Andrew, we get on really well. The whole family, really. Even the ex-husband, I get on well with him as well, Richard, right? So, yeah, she was, she got the boob job done, got rid of that cancer, and then one day I was at Heathrow Airport, I was going to Canada, and I phoned her just to say, babe, we wasn't together, but that's how we got on though. We was like friends with benefits kind of thing, you know what I mean? But tight though. And I said to her, babe, I'm just getting on the plane, right? Do you want me to bring you anything back? And she's like, and there was a nickname, what was it? And she went, what the fuck is, because you know how them Geordies, they're a bit coarse, you know what I mean? She went, what the fuck? I've just gone to the hospital and I think the cancer, and I went, no. And then she told me, right? And I was like, really, do you really think that? And she went, yeah. So anyway, I went to Canada, came back, and then I was talking to her mum. See, Jazz didn't want to see me because of the cancer, because the side of her face had dropped now. One of her eyes was hanging down a bit. And she didn't want me to see her like that. So her mum said, Ken, I'll tell you what to do. Because I was talking to the mum behind her back, you know what I mean? Come up on Saturday, she'll be there, right? So I drove my ass up there, and I never left her side. The only time I left her side was to go and do my work and come back to Newcastle. That time I was living with SS in Leicester, all right? And I was there till the end, you know what I mean? And then I remember I had to play in Australia, and I said to her, babe, I'm just going to go and do this thing in Australia. I have to go. She went, don't worry about it, it's good. That time she's really ill, you know what I mean? And she said, I said, when I come back, I'm coming straight back to see you, right? She went, okay. And then I said goodbyes and all that. And then I got on the plane, went to Australia, and I was waiting in the hotel room to play my gig in Adelaide. Adelaide. And I was sitting in the hotel room, and I was just sitting on my bed, and the phone rang, and it was one of her friends called me and said, Ken, she's gone. And I just went, when? And she told me when. I just said, okay, thanks, and I put the phone down. It wasn't a long conversation, really short, you know what I mean? And then I was sitting on the bed, and I didn't cry, Ron. I didn't cry or nothing, you know what I mean? I was just sitting there thinking, oh, she's really gone. Fuck. Shit, I can't believe it, man. Jazz is gone, you know? Shit. So I told the promoter what's happened. He said to me, Ken, if you don't want to play, we totally understand. And I said, no, I'm going to come and play, because if she's watching me now, she's going to say, get your ass to the club and go and play. You're in Australia, go and play. So I went and played, right, Ron? And I played this set and smashed up the club to pieces, right? It was going off in there. And when I finished, I took the mic off the MC, and everyone listened to me, right? The whole club just went quiet. And I said, listen, you lot, I never really wanted to come and play tonight, but I lost a really, really dear friend. And I told him about Jazz and that. And then Ron, that's when it just come out. All the floodgates opened. I just burst into tears in front of the whole club.
Yeah.
And I remember crying my eyes out, man. I was just like, what am I gonna do? Oh no, what am I gonna do? And all this and everything. And then I finished off the rest of the tour. I think I had 2 more dates to do. I finished that off, and I flew back to England. And then by that time, all the funeral arrangements are getting made. And then from losing Jazz, which is an important part of my life, because I'll never forget that girl. Even now, I'm living with Kaylee, all right? Even in my front room now, I've got pictures of Jazz, me and Jazz, because Kaylee understands what she meant to me, you know what I mean, and how important she was in digging me out of that hole and giving me a kick up the arse and saying, look, you're Kenny Kent, man, come on now. You know what I mean, sort yourself out. You know what I mean? Her and Carney, the both of them, you know what I mean? Both of them gave me that kick.
That's
you know
amazing. I mean, that's really, really touching, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, we could be our own worst enemies sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We could be our own worst enemies.
She came into my life for a reason, Ron.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I mean? And
do you know what I mean? And for her to have already been suffering, then you came into her life, you know, like, beat it, then gone again. It's like poor girl, do you know what I mean? The amount of things she's been through. But then she left you kind of in this position where
she left me in a position
you're
where
a stronger person than you were at the time when you met her.
Oh, I'm a lot stronger now.
Do you get what I mean?
You
and
know,
that just like on a chance chat with Carney, you know,
yeah.
so.
Like Carney, you know, like me and Carney's my best friend. You know what I mean? And like, me and Carney have been besties for years, you know what I mean? And then when she told me that about Jazz, and then Jazz, when I got home, there's a message on Facebook from Jazz, and I'm thinking, well, Carney must have clued her up. And Carney said, no, I swear to God, Ken, I didn't say nothing. It was just like it had to happen. That friendship had to happen. I mean, we was together as boyfriend and girlfriend, or whatever you want to call it, in a relationship. But that never lasted, because we was always, Jazz, she was very fiery, and there wasn't no physical violence or anything like that involved in the
She weren't having it.
But she just, you know how them Geordies are. What? Yeah. You know how them Geordies are.
Don't you fucking talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably Scottish, actually.
But them Geordies don't. Listen, if you get a Geordie girl and she's anywhere like Jazz, you watch out, Jim, right? Because she don't play, right? And that's what gave me the kick up the arse, Ron. Is because she was no nonsense. She would say to me, so what the fuck are you doing that for then? Yeah. And I'd be like, she's right, you know. By this time now, I've met the mum, me and the mum, even the ex-husband, Richard, me and him's getting on well. Me and the mum's getting on well. Me and the brother Andrew, we're getting on well. Jordan, the daughter, we're all getting on well, you know what I mean, and everything. And even to this day now, Jazz died in 2017. Molly is 14 or 15 now. She calls me every day, without fail. Every single day she calls, sometimes twice a day. When I look at my phone now, there'll be a missed call from Molly, and it's not call, it's FaceTime. She loves her FaceTime. Right. Sometimes I have to. Molly will call me when I'm in the middle of something, and I just have to go, "Oh, Mo, not now," and I don't answer. Right? And then when I do phone her back, she'll be like, "How rude!" Just like her mum. You know what I mean? I say, "Mo, you're just like your mum, you know. Just like your mum, you know what I mean?" And me and her are like that. Me and the other daughter. But me and Molly, like that, you know what I mean? You know.
I mean, she was instrumental in kind of kicking back, giving you that kick up the arse to get you back into this position. And in the years of Robert, I mean, 2017, that's not that long ago. No. It's not that long ago, Ken.
No, and then I met Kaylee.
Yeah.
And Kaylee was with me. Kaylee came in just when Jazz was on her way out. You know what I mean? Because me and Jazz went together, and then I met Kaylee, and Kaylee started to come out with me. And even Kaylee, she's helped me out tremendously as well. I mean, because we've had COVID and all that, you know what I mean? And financially, it hit me mentally, everything, you know what I mean? Like a lot of us did, you know what I mean? But Kaylee was there for me all through it, 100% for me.
It's interesting, because when you came in there, we spoke briefly about the challenges faced with I mean, some of the challenges faced with lockdown, particularly financially and whatever, but here we are back again in the game, do you get what I mean? And so, you know, like, with everything now seeming some sense of normality, we've got
that at the moment.
Yeah, what's the short-term, mid-term, long-term future look like for you, Ken?
Well, at the moment, things are going all right, whereas, you know, my first priority is DJing. I love DJing, right? That's what I set out to be, a DJ. You know what I mean? I must admit, when I first started DJing, I didn't think I'd get Kenny Kent all around the world. I didn't think it would go that far, you know what I mean? I never in a million years thought it would be like that. But it has, you know, and now we've come off of COVID. My game plan now is to just be making more music, because I made a good few tunes. One of them called Rhythm Up, which I've done with the Beat Merchants. Like, Jubs gave me the samples and said to me, Ken, see what you can do with this. And I fixed it up and done everything, and then gave him back the tune, and he said, right, we're going to call it Kenny Ken and Beat Merchants. I said, all right, cool, no problem. The tune got to #1 in the Juno chart, Juno
amazing.
download charts,
Yeah.
right? So I was really happy about that, you know what I mean? I've done a few, but see, I've still got that old school Soundclash mentality, because I've also done a few tunes that are specials.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I like to, you know, you got to have them one-aways, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I've done one, there's a track called Lorna by, it's got Buju Banton in it, right? I forget the artist's name now. It's a reggae track called Lorna anyway, right? So I kind of spliced that up and nicked what I had to nick out of it, and then put that as my intro, and then do a wicked drop on the lines of Rhythm Up, you know what I mean? On that kind of tip. And I've been playing that out, and it's been doing some damage. A man saying to me, when are you going to release this thing? And I said, it can't get released. And I drawed it in front of Ray Keith, right? And Ray said he wants it for his thing. I said, Ray, you can't put that out because it's a sample. But Ray said, don't worry, we can sort that out. So I said to him, well, if you want to sort it out, because he's the only one that's got the tune. I only gave it to Ray because he said that he wanted to put it out. I said, if you could sort that sample out, then we can do a thing. But I don't think you're going to be able to sort that sample out, because it's naughty the way I've done it. So it was just especially for myself, you know what I mean? So, you know, yeah, that's my plan. I'm really enjoying studio work at the moment. You know, I've got to the stage now where I don't need no one sitting down with me. I can do it myself. You know what I mean? Obviously, if I get stuck, I'll phone up one of the man them and just say, Bridget, how do I do this again? How do I do that?
I've been doing that to you. I've been out of there so long. I'm like, yo, Kenny, what's that thing when you do that?
Yeah. You know what I mean? But, like, you know, I've got lots of good people around me. Like, Blade Runner's been there for me. I've done a track with Blade Runner a few years ago.
He'd
Saxon.
be a good person to have on your line, innit? He
Yeah,
must
Saxon.
be a good person to have on your line.
Yeah, Blade Runner
Saxon
would always,
as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
Saxon,
yeah.
Blade Runner would help. Blade Runner is good. Saxon's been a really tremendous help to me as well. Jubs, Beat Merchants, and Juice Man.
Jubs. Pick up all of them.
Yeah, they've all been. Jubs has
Juice
really.
Man come out as a big surprise to me.
Yeah,
as producer.
he's pulling out some beats.
Yeah,
at the moment,
definitely.
you know
He
what I
really
mean?
come out as a big surprise to me.
You know,
yeah. But well done.
there's a few people I've got who are there to help me out if I need help. You know what I mean? Like if I can't balance out a tune, or, you know, because I've got a habit of making my breaks a bit too loud, too prominent in the mix. You know what I mean? And I've got to learn. I'm learning now that it ain't all about the break. You know what I mean? You have to balance things out, and I don't know whether it's because I haven't got the right ears for it, because I've been DJing all them years or whatever. But when I do my tune, Jubs always says to me, Ken, turn down the break a bit. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's all right. And no, Ken, turn it down. And when I turn down the break, he'll tell me exactly how many decibels to turn it down. And I'll turn it, I'll send him back the tune, he'll master it. And I think, you know what, he's right, you know, it sounds wicked, you know what I mean? So, you know, I'm just learning everything as much as what I can, you know what I mean?
Just having fun again, I
yeah,
suppose.
because a guy said to me, I put the video up of me playing the Lorna tune, what I just told you about, and a guy said to me, Ken, like, a few people are asking when I should release it, and in one of the comments I went, sorry, it's not for release, I've just done it for fun. And then someone else commented, that's what I like to see, it's not about cash all the time, and it's just about enjoying what you're doing, you know what I mean? And
but the cash don't hurt.
Yeah, the cash don't hurt. Obviously, we all want money,
But the fun side of it, I think that I've heard that a lot since the whole lockdown thing, where people have been like, they've found this new sense of like what it was when they first started.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of, you know, like put it this way, when I sit in front of my computer and I load up Logic and I'm going through breaks, I'm going through samples, that I'm not looking to make a tune to make a whole heap of money for. I'm not even thinking about the money.
No, of course not.
I'm just thinking about, I want Kenny Ken to put out good music. Yeah. That's what I want.
So we're going to look out for more music from Kenny Ken.
Whole heap more, trust me, whole heap more, whole heap.
Ken, thanks for joining us today, man. Much appreciated.
Big up.
What I mean? Yeah, big up for this, man.
But you got to start making music again.
I know.
And you got to start DJing again, right?
Yeah, I know.
Right, you have to, man, because what now? DJ Ron?
I know.
You got it.
No, I made decision that I'm going to start putting a bit more focus on the music side. I've been doing like a lot of other things, and
I know you're doing your film thing, and I really admire that, Ron.
Yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah.
really, you know, I'm really proud of you, right?
Yeah.
To be doing this, what you're doing. You've got your degree, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
got your
yeah,
degree
yeah,
in
yeah,
filmmaking and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a positive, right? Maybe I'm being a bit, what's the word? A bit grabalicious. Like, come on, Ron, come back in, man. Come on, we need you as a DJ. Come back in.
No,
you know
I
what
think
I mean?
the thing is as well. I think that, to be honest with you, with DJing as well, and the market as it is at the moment, for a while I've been kind of like looking and seeing, just kind of like what's my positioning in that marketplace. Do you get what I mean? And I think that now, I think that A, there is a positioning, but B, I think more importantly, is that you can't take anything for granted, and just because of the fact of historically and whatever, you got to put the work in. Do you get what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so, so watch this space. And watch your space as well. Big up, Kenny.
All right, big up, man.
All right, nice one for that, brother.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
And now hug it out.
Big.